Good morning and welcome to Munich Zebener Street. We are looking at the very beginning of the final training session today, going into tomorrow evening's Champions League game against Celtic Glasgow. There's only been one duel between these two teams, or two duels I should say, in the group stage of the 2003-2004 season. Bayern and Celtic already clashed. A 2-1 home victory for Bayern Munich and a 0-0 away from home. Probably not what Jupp Heynckes would be happy to accept this season, following the 3-0 defeat against Paris in the first Champions League game of the season. The pressure is on Bayern Munich to do well now, and of course particularly so tomorrow night in the Allianz Arena, 8:45 CET, a kickoff we're expecting. A lot of away fans, of course, as always, when Celtic travels, and a great atmosphere. But more than anything else, Bayern are at least hoping that they can strike back, so to speak, and that Bayern and under Jupp Heynckes can achieve a good start in the Champions League as well, after already enjoying a great start to Jupp Heynckes' spell on the weekend. 5-0 against Freiburg. Everyone happy, everyone satisfied with what they saw. Jupp Heynckes, as always, a little more careful than that. Heynckes did talk about the mistakes Bayern Munich made, talked about what needs to be improved, and has been saying, of course, for a while, for all the time really, that there's still a lot of work ahead for Bayern Munich, that he's still got a long way to go. As you can see, I think nearly everyone's on board at the front here. Right next to Jupp Heynckes is Arturo Vidal. He's been training for 2 days now. I assume he is ready, or at least would be ready to play. We know of Jupp Heynckes that, unlike his predecessors, he's a bit more careful, and he said about Arturo Vidal already, this was last week before the Freiburg home match, and he's definitely not going to field Vidal against Freiburg because the player is much too important. Those were his words. So I can imagine that maybe he'll opt for the same thing tomorrow. Having said that, Jupp Heynckes also knows how important it is to keep everyone motivated, to keep a good balance in the squad. So it's very possible that Jupp Heynckes will change his squad on several positions. There are all kinds of alternatives. Missing today, of course, still Javi Martinez with a shoulder injury. It's still a little unclear how long he'll be missing. We'll see when he can rejoin training. We're expecting that that's going to happen towards the end of this week, or probably, actually, to be more realistic, during the course of next week, which is a bit of a blow for Jupp Heynckes because Martinez is such an important player in his system. And of course, one of the first things he did is put Martinez back in holding midfield. So here, a little prep talk, and now we're going to go, I'm sure, into the warm-up session. Today, the first 15 minutes of this training session are open to the media, not to the public. That is always the case going into the Champions League games. So we've only got a couple minutes, really, to give you the latest updates. Again, everyone on board. You can see Arturo Vidal and Jerome Boateng welcome each other there. Tom Starke also back. As long as Manuel Neuer is injured, Tom Starke is a professional football player again, and the second goalkeeper at Bayern Munich. We've talked about that at length now in the last couple of days, and for those of you who maybe aren't so familiar with Jupp Heynckes or with what he is hoping for here, I think it's pretty obvious that Jupp Heynckes is initially relying on the old boys, so to speak, or at least on those players who he knows and who are the stars at Bayern Munich. We saw it in the lineup on the weekend with Boateng, with Hummels, with Alaba, back with Müller, of course. Lewandowski's no question, of course. Arjen Robben played, Thiago in midfield, Martinez again in holding midfield. Vidal might play in holding midfield. Who knows? Maybe next to Thiago, maybe next to Sebastian Rudi. It's clear that Tolisso and Javi Martinez are more the fighting defensive types, and I suppose to a certain extent Vidal can play that as well, even though he is, of course, a central midfielder rather than a holding midfielder, someone who can certainly also help Bayern Munich in offense. But again, with Rudi and with Thiago, you have two such creative players that are currently, at least, playing in Bayern Munich's holding midfield, that I think Heinkes likes that balance. That's why he likes Javi Martinez in holding midfield, because he knows Martinez is just a godsend for the centre-backs behind him. Strong in the air, he already takes so much pressure off the centre-backs, already wins so many aerial duels, ground duels in holding midfield, so that the centre-backs can concentrate more on their actual job. And that is Jupp Heynckes' mantra here. Basically, he said it several times already now. Fundamentally important for Jupp Heynckes isn't creative, attacking, beautiful offensive football. Fundamentally important for him is the defense, and that's why he wasn't particularly happy with the game on Saturday. Happy, yes, of course, 5-0 home win. There's no reason to complain, but he did make a couple of remarks regarding Bayern Munich's weaknesses. Freiburg had 2 or 3 goal chances in the first half, and these chances all came from defensive mistakes, and he said we simply can't afford to throw games away like that. We have to be much better, much more concentrated at the back. Here's Arjen Robben, just recently retired from the Dutch national team. Good performance on the weekend, always a good performance. Jupp Heynckes spoke very highly of him. Jupp Heynckes, of course, in his first couple of days has been busy talking up all the players here at Bayern Munich, and he says what's really important for me now is to give the players the confidence back, the belief in their ability and their strength. This comes after 2 games recently in which Bayern Munich gave away a 2-0 lead, something that had never ever before happened in Bayern Munich's Bundesliga history, which is on the one hand impressive, on the other hand, of course, very worrying and concerning. Bayern Munich used to be the kind of team, if they scored 1 goal, then the story was over, basically. It was highly unlikely that they would give up a goal, and when Bayern Munich were up by 2 goals, you could basically leave the stadium in the past. That's not the case anymore, of course. Here's Heynckes talking to goalkeeper Toni Tapalovic. Heynckes also quite happy with Sven Ulreich's performance on the weekend. Very good save against Freiburg's first goal chance. Ulreich needs to play a couple good games, I think, to build his confidence. A great goalkeeper, but it's always the same when you have a goalkeeper who's the backup to a star. It takes a while. They play without maybe the necessary degree of confidence. And, of course, you have Manuel Neuer at Bayern Munich, who's missing the world's best goalkeeper, at least one of the world's best goalkeepers, who's not only so great as a goalkeeper, but also such a great help in defense that it affects the way the centre-backs play. Mats Hummels talked about that at length recently, saying just how Manuel Neuer adds to the confidence. Niklas Süle is here following Jerome Boateng, so we have the 3 fit centre-backs in a group here with Hummels, with Boateng, with Süle. I wouldn't be surprised to see Süle tomorrow night. Jerome Boateng isn't 100% fit. It's possible too that Boateng will start the game next to Mats Hummels and that Süle will come on later. Boateng was taken off the pitch on Saturday, and Jupp Heynckes is paying close attention to Jerome Boateng. He's one of the players that he talked about in great detail, saying Boateng hasn't really been 100% fit in such a long time. It's really important for me to get him back to that level. There was a big interview with Boateng a couple of days ago where he said himself, I'm not quite there yet, but I don't need that much more either. He says 2 or 3 games, 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll be back at 100%. And then it's important for him to stay healthy, to get a lot of match practice under his belt, to get comfortable with the rhythm of playing regularly. And then Boateng at least is, as he said, extremely confident that he can reach that level again that he played on under Jupp Heynckes in that magical 2012-2013 season. Anything is possible is what some Bayern players say. I'd be a bit careful. I'd take it step by step now. We'll see how the situation under Jupp Heynckes evolves. What's clear is that the Bayern officials had a pretty decent idea there with Jupp Heynckes. It became evident on the weekend. The team knows what it's expected of it, knows what to do. There are no discussions about Heynckes. He knows the players. He knows how to handle them. He knows how to handle everything at Bayern Munich, which is, of course, fairly confident, but it's the fourth time that he's here. And you could see it on the weekend when the names Peter Hermann, Hermann Gerland and Jupp Heynckes, the coaching team, were announced in the stadium. It was maybe one of the loudest, if not the loudest reception I've ever heard in the stadium. It truly was deafening to hear the crowd reaction in the stadium. And again, the acceptance, of course, is there for Jupp Heynckes. The fans now expect the players to do well. Whenever Bayern Munich fail to do well in the next couple of weeks, no one's going to look at the coach and say, well, he doesn't know what he's doing. That's over. And the players know it. And it's what's been said and what we've heard in pretty much every interview in the last couple of days or in the last week or so at Bayern Munich. Everyone is very clear about the fact that it's the players' responsibility now to do better than they have been doing this season and maybe in part last season. And that's what the fans expect of the players too. But if you look at this squad here, we can all agree there's a lot of quality in this training squad. Certainly enough on paper to beat Celtic tomorrow evening. They scored 3 goals against Anderlecht in the first game. Robert Lewandowski talked in an interview yesterday about how that is a clear signal that Celtic know how to play attacking football and that Bayern Munich have to be careful. But it's of course clear that Jupp Heynckes' team is favourite tomorrow, and also that they need to win. So that's a bit of an advantage that Celtic have there as well. Bayern are under pressure to perform, really can't afford to lose or draw that home game. Bayern haven't yet quite given up hope, of course not, that they can finish this group in first place. We'll have to wait and see what happens, how consistent Paris is, how many points they'll be able to collect in the last couple of games, or the next couple of games, and if Bayern can consistently win against Celtic and then Anderlecht as well. Holger Broich conducting the warm-up program here. That's all changed since Carlo Ancelotti left. Jupp Heynckes likes his players to warm up properly, to already work pretty hard in the warm-up program, and wants his players more than anything else to be physically fit. It seems that they are fit. Of course, there's still a lot of work ahead for Jupp Heynckes, but on the other hand, the players are at least ready for the challenge now. This is all the time we have. As you can see, the players are already leaving this training pitch, going behind closed doors for tactical purposes now. Thanks a lot for showing interest. Thanks a lot for watching. And of course, keep your fingers crossed. Tomorrow evening, 8:45, Bayern Munich against Celtic in the Allianz Arena. See you then.